I hope to
I'll check it.
God that we're live. But hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the vidcast. Whatever. I don't even think we really have a name. Just the vidcast. Up there, over there, we got Irish, and then Skill, and then Mr. Lano.
What's up, guys?
Today we are going to talk a lot about Halo, and a lot about Halo. I know we were going to talk about the REQ system and Smart Scope and Warzone, and if we have time, maybe even some more Halo. But first, I want to start off with the Smart Scope, and the funny thing is they call it like a new scoping system or lack thereof, because the traditional Halo is you don't scope. You don't need to zoom in with your scopes to kill anybody, because it's not, I don't know, just the way the game's designed, it's not needed. So what they've incorporated in this new Smart Scope system is if you do zoom in, there's no negative buffs. There's no speed reduction. There's no I forget what the other term is, but you know, normally whenever you zoom in on your scope, you lose peripheral vision, you lose movement speed, and things like that. Well, they got rid of all that. So if you do chose to ADS or whatever, you don't lose any of that, which is kind of a plus. Not that really too many people are going to ADS anyway, just out of sheer habit. Because I know that I've gotten almost out of the habit of not ADSing unless it's, you know, a really long range. So I think that's going to be, you know, kind of interesting to see, I guess, how that's going to work for, you know, some of the bigger things, like especially Warzone, which is what we're getting ready to talk about. How you can ADS and still basically, in their term, quote, run and gun while ADS. So that would be kind of interesting, I guess.
Well, there's in the metagame, there's a whole bunch of, you know, BR versus BR, where you can get in that zoom shot, you know. That's where you can get a lot of kills.
And then I think one thing should be noticed, the Smart Scope. If you do, remember, Smart Scope is optional, so if you're doing Smart Scope, you're not getting the shoulder charge, you're not getting any of those other smart abilities that is coming with Halo 5. So it's really, if you really want to commit to these guns that usually don't normally have scopes and haven't had scopes throughout all the Halo, then you can get that, but you'll lose out on your other advantages that you would have through the Spartan abilities. So that would be considered a downside, you know, but I mean, it's a perk. If you really want to aim, you know, you'll get it, but you know, you just won't be able to have access to the Spartan abilities, and I think that's a good balance.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, there's usually like a one player on your team that's going to be kind of your anchor with the sniper or with the long range weapons. And I can definitely see that being the active perk that guy wants to use, because when you're hanging back in your spawn with the sniper, it's not like you're going to be jetpacking very often and whatnot, you know? So
Yeah.
It seems like that would probably be the smart perk to probably put on your anchor sniper player, and that way he can be getting quick scopes from across the map much more easy than just trying to hip fire him or, you know, zoom in hard scoped and then you get shot out of your sniping scope. Pretty much never get that zoom back in, but now you have that option with this perk. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, see, one thing to note is that you're still going to have the run delay. So if you sprint, there's still going to be that delay, that ready up delay. So that's something to kind of, I guess, balance it. Because if they didn't have that, you know, then with the Smart Scope system, I think it'd be, you know, a little OP for people to just, you know, kind of be zoomed in or do like a, you know, a quick ADS, on some games where you can just, like, you know, ADS quick and kind of keep it like that, like kind of like what you do with fusion rifles in Destiny, where you just kind of pre-charge them or whatever. So I'm glad to hear that they still kept the, you know, the delay to keep it a little bit more balanced, because when I was reading it, and I was reading it on the forums, and I tried to find it to read it for word, and I couldn't find it again. I don't know if I was just looking in the wrong place or what, or if I was in the Matrix when I read it. I really don't know, but but yeah, Then moving on to the REQ system. This system is kind of interesting to me. I don't fully understand the concept, I guess, but to me it sounds like it's a system kind of based on Smite, where you get points, you get REQ energy or something like that for capturing bases or, you know, killing enemies or, you know, defeating the bosses, like in Warzone. And you get these points, and if, say you have like 7 REQ energies or whatever, and then you get to REQ level 6, well then you can go to one of those, either a garage or an armory, and you can use your points to buy weapons or upgrades, or like they're like cards, like the Titan Burn cards or something. And then you're able to use those, but they cost your energy. So say you have 7 REQ points, you use 6 of them, then it takes the 6, you have 1 REQ point left, and you have to build it back up to get those REQ points. So I assume the way that they describe how it works in-game, that it resets every game, which in itself is like a meta game inside the game, which is really interesting the way that they did that, because it's almost like that MOBA aspect inside Warzone in particular. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play out, because I don't know, seeing that in an FPS it's kind of weird to me, I guess. Not that it's bad, it's just weird.
One thing to be noted is you'll be able to get REQ packs, and that will be due through microtransactions. So they are bringing microtransactions into Halo 5 this time around, and it's you know, and they've stated, however, you know, the REQ packs are purely cosmetics. You know, they'll contain a variety of form of unlockable weapons, armor, skins, assassination animations, stuff of that nature is what you'll get from the REQ packs. That's
So you say weapons though, because I honestly feel like
weapon skins, apparently.
Oh, weapon skins. Yeah. Okay.
Because this Halo round, there's no more loadouts, so you don't go in with a loadout like you did in Halo. Like, they're going back from, which is why we saw in the Halo 5 beta. It's very much that you start out with those weapons, you find whatever's on the ground. So, want to get the sniper, you got to control the sniper. You can't call that down. You don't get ordnance. There's no loadouts. You start with what you start. So this is more of a, you know, the cosmetic on the face. You know, armors, skins, animations, more animations for assassinations, I suppose, and you know, that type of sort. Looks like it's, you know, kind of the thing Black Ops did, where you could buy ridiculously priced skins.
The cool thing is with those REQ packs or whatever is that if you don't like the stuff that's there, you can turn it in, and like you get like in a sense a refund for like your REQ points or REQ energy or however that works, and then you can repurchase other things and, you know, try and go. So like if you get a whole pack that is just shitty and you don't like it, you can turn it all back in and get another one, which is kind of. You might not get like an entire pack back. You'll get like, you know, they said the equivalent value of what that item's worth. So
did they specify whether you're gonna get duplicates? Because in other games like this, it seems like you can get filthy amounts of the same cards and the same thing over and over and over, and that's really disappointing, especially when you're paying for it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
no knowledge on that yet. No knowledge.
Yeah, I think that's why they brought in the
that they got to be very
system.
worried about. But see, that even that, it's generally not enough, because they're definitely going to have some sort of economy based on this, you know, based on the cards.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, it seems like if they can make sure we don't get duplicates of the same thing, it'll save a lot of time, a lot of hassle, and a lot of the grind of where, you know, if you have $10 to drop on the game and you only get 3 things new or something like that, it's pretty, you know, that's a rough thing to do. But personally, I'm kind of gonna stay away from microtransactions. I don't think it's definitely the way that the community and everything is flowing now. It's a train that's pretty much unstoppable. But if it's something I don't necessarily need to get to where I want to be, or, you know, if it doesn't have any influence over the in-game skill, probably not going to worry about it, unless it's really shockingly good, which, you know, when we've been kind of suckered into these pigeonholes where you now have more downloadable content that you can purchase in Call of Duty for skins and whatnot than you can earn by getting headshots and assists. And you know what I mean? And it's disappointing where you can get everything that they want you to get in the game, and then you have to pay for the rest. You know? So we'll see if it's kind of balanced where there's still some things that you can unlock along the way with the grind. But it scares me that now we're getting into that Call of Duty. We're going to have so much content for $1.99, but only 10 skins that you can earn in the game. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Well, granted, with this whole thing, the REQ packs and also what you can earn with REQ points is only cosmetic. So if you're one of those guys that just wants your armor to look good, that's it. I mean, there's no really viable effect on the gameplay other than some new animations, what your gun's skin looks like, and what you look like yourself from what it sounds like.
No, there was an interview with Josh Holmes, a designer at 343. You get deployable gear and guns from the REQ packs, but what he said was the REQ items are limited by their REQ level. So what Moose was talking about, unless you get to that REQ level in that match, you can't deploy the item that you got. So if it's a REQ level 3 and you don't get to REQ level 3 in that match, you can't use it. So I think that they're being smart about it. They're putting a skill hurdle in front of it. It's like, yeah, you got a cool Warthog or whatever REQ level that's at, but you can't deploy that in Warzone until you get to that REQ level. And what Skill was talking about, it's a little vague here, but it sounds like he said players will be able to redeem requisition points for the REQ pack. So it sounds like you can get the REQ points to get the packs to avoid the microtransactions. It's just like you're saying, is it going to be a grind? Is it going to be this sort of passive incentivization to be like, this is ridiculous, I can never get any REQ packs? I don't think they'll do that. That doesn't seem in line with how 343 is really approaching this. But it sounds like they're giving you avenues to get them legitly, and they're thinking thoughtfully about how, like, oh, if deployable gear and guns are in the REQ packs, we need to put some form of hurdle in front of it, so just, you know, people can't just, oh, I'm gonna buy my way to victory.
Yeah, which I think, I mean, I'm not against microtransactions at all. I'm definitely, pro nano DLC or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think what they're doing to balance between pay to win and the grind, so to speak, is it looks like it's going to be really well balanced. Like what you said with the skill hurdle. Damn, with the skill hurdle, people. I lost my train of thought. My dog's over here beating up this box, and I lost my train of thought. But no, the skill hurdle for the REQ packs or whatever is a really good idea, because, like you said, it limits the pay to win aspect, which was, I guess, kind of a fear for some people. But
yeah, well, and if you think about it, the people that are going to be more likely to buy them and think, oh, I'm going to buy my way to victory, they're going to be the people more likely to not get their REQ level up and not be able to use it. And so it could work like, oh, you have that incentive to become a better player, and then they might start to think like, I don't need to buy these REQ packs. I can earn this stuff on my own. And then the people that are just trying to exploit it, the really good players are going to be like, I don't need to spend money. I can earn this stuff on my own. So I think the swath of players, I think it's actually really thoughtful. I think it'll work well, as long as, like we were talking about, it's not grindy.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my worry is I'm one of those people that's going to be hitting it, the minute the game comes out. I'm going to probably be grinding for 20 hours that day. And my worry is that people that are like me are going to say, hey, $10 is worth it, so I have an advantage to keep leveling up, and eventually I'll just start buying them myself. But that's what kind of worries me, is like the Midnighter Club. Are they going to drop $10 or $20 immediately that night, just so that while we're leveling, they have an advantage potentially, and then you're earning your own credits faster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm kind of worried about, is coming up against people that potentially I have the skill to beat, but they got something that I don't have to counter. You know, I don't have something to counter what they purchase. So, it's gonna be interesting. I'm definitely one of those people that, you know, I will dip my toe in the DLC pool, or like the microtransaction pool. I'll probably purchase 1 to 2 things, but that's it. You know, I don't plan on monthly dropping stuff to get new packs, and you know, and that's what I'm worried about is exclusives for like the month of October. We're gonna have this rec pack, and then December we're gonna have this rec pack. You know, and it's like that's scary.
Well, it might be worth mentioning, too, to fairly represent it, the gear and the guns, it's only usable in the Warzone game mode. So this is not guns and gear that you can use in any game mode. Everything is cosmetic, and then there is stuff you can use specifically in Warzone because it's built with that MOBA rec style. I don't know if the other game modes are going to have that. I think Warzone
But the skins apply to the other game, though?
The skins, the armor, that stuff, the
That does
cosmetic
apply?
stuff.
Okay.
But what Lano's saying, the weapons, the gear and stuff, that's only towards Warzone. All other modes are disabled on that.
Now, does
So that stays out of the realm of competitive, and competitive doesn't even need to ban that in the first place.
Right.
It's already been done away with. So, and I know, Skill, from what you do, I mean, I know you're going to be playing Warzones with us, buddy, but you're competitive, so Team Slayer's a thing. And this isn't going to really affect Team Slayer. I mean, this isn't going to affect the competitive group of it at all. Unless the competitive ladder comes up for Warzones, but that's a 16 versus 16 man team right there. But I don't know if that'll be a competitive map right off the competitive ladder or not. But, you know, we know what will be first. And, you know, REQ is going to be purely cosmetic for that.
Do we know if the REQ system is specifically only for... Like, I mean, not the rec. Well, the rec points. Is that across all game modes, or is this system literally just geared in line with Warzone? Because that's what I'm still not sure. Like, if you just play Team Slayer, do you still earn rec energy or rec points that you can apply to that game mode, or is it specifically you can only be in Warzone to earn these points to use on these things? Because I guess it goes both ways on that, because like if I don't play Warzone that much, which I'm not really sure, you know, how that's going to work for me. So if I don't play it as much, and then I get in there and I don't have, you know, the rec points like everyone else does who just plays it religiously, you know, I'm going to be already at a disadvantage because, you know, I play Team Slayer or that other one from the beta, you know, all the time. So Halo's Search and Destroy, I forget what it's called, but I'm wondering if if it's going to be across all game modes or if it's specific to Warzone. I mean, that's kind of a...
As far as I know, it's based on, you get them for leveling up your Spartan rank and completing multiplayer commendations.
Okay.
Yeah, a guy in the
That's all
chat
I've
just
heard.
Googled it, and he said he checked it's in normal multiplayer as well, earning the
Okay.
rec points.
Cool. Yeah, because that actually makes a lot of sense and is really beneficial to everybody.
Yeah.
And then if we're playing other game modes, then we can still rank up. You know, if we're better at Team Slayer than we are at Warzone, well, then we just go play Team Slayer, build up a bunch of rec points, and go buy 6 million rec packs or whatever. So
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a plus.
Well, I like how they're implementing their microtransactions. Contributing to the gear and the weapons to one mode, and making it have a skill, like Lano said, that the skill hurdle there, and in the end, it helps that while this may look like kind of what COD got into, it's still nice to remember in the back of my head that they promised never to charge for DLC ever again.
Yeah.
From their games.
Which is...
Whereas, as cool as I saw the Black Ops 3 zombie reveal, I know that DLC is going to be $25 to $30 a pound.
Yeah.
Right.
Even with the multiplayer maps, it's just...
Yeah.
So
well,
it's nice to have the free DLC in the back of the mind, even though, microtransactions are coming into Halo. It's nice to know I don't have to keep paying for it.
Right, and see, that's the cool thing is because you're getting the free DLC, so it almost makes you feel like, it's like one of those sales or something where you feel like you're getting such a good deal that you spend more money. And I mean, not saying that's what's going to happen, but if I'm getting free DLC, I'm more apt to take, the money that I thought I would be spending on DLC and, buy some miscellaneous, micro DLC or whatever. Be like, oh, okay, well, that looks like a cool weapon skin. I'll buy that since I don't have to buy a DLC. And I think it'll still work out in their favor, but it'll also be in our favor as well. So it's like everybody wins on that aspect.
The DLC design that they're doing, it's kind of like a No Man Left Behind. They don't want to exclude anybody, because I remember, because I took COD off for so long, like I had to buy the maps up so I could play the recent zombie maps up. So that would cost me almost half an entire game because I had to buy 2 DLCs. So you don't see it much anywhere else, that the free DLC. I mean, with Halo 5, you're not presented with a season's pass right off the bat. It's the first time I can hear that in a long time.
Right.
Regardless of the game.
Yeah, I think the question at this point is not whether or not big AAA games are going to include microtransactions. I think that a lot of what we've heard from developers about how AAA games are not profitable anymore because they cost way more, the development time's longer, the length of engagement that people expect has just mushroomed. So consumer expectations are a lot bigger, and so AAA games are going to continue to have to figure out, well, how do we make ourselves profitable again? I think that is through microtransactions. We've talked about this a little bit with Destiny, how if you do it right, it can be a great way, I think, to really boost up your profit margins, and then that allows you to do things like free DLC and just cool perks for the community. And when you do that, you kind of lift that burden off the player of feeling like, I got to shell out all this money just to keep up with the maps. You free them up to then feel like almost an empowered, like, well, yeah, I'll spend $5 on this cool skin or whatnot, like cosmetic. It's harder for, I think, a player base to want to purchase those cosmetic things when they feel so squeezed. I think Evolve did it the wrong way. On paper, it was a good idea, all this cosmetic stuff to buy, but you don't want to throw it at, launch day, here's a $60 game, and here's $60 worth of cosmetic stuff you can buy. That just looked really bad. It's like, why you had all this stuff available day one, why didn't you give it to us? So I think microtransactions are here. It's just a matter of really hoping that they're done properly, and as gamers holding them accountable. And if it is sinister and manipulative, kind of like buying easy fatalities in Mortal Kombat, I think that then you need to reject it and say, no, this is a bad practice and we need to not pay for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Temptation, I just think that they're smarter than the community in that fact of Temptation. And what the thing is I'm one of these people that'll put up a wall and I will say, no, I'm not buying it. But after getting something happen to me over and over and over in the game that somebody purchased, it'll be one of those, I have to buy it just so I can counter it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
well, and how many
become
kids
that
on
person.
Xbox with their mom's credit card, like,
Oh, absolutely. And I do like Bing rewards, so that's like $5 credit every month or something like that. It just gets on my thing. So it's one of those things where it's available to me to do, but I try to say no. But if the community does it, I usually get dragged in just because I don't want to be left behind.
Yeah.
So,
and see, that's the benefit to those of us that do the Bing rewards or whatever. That's the benefit. That's like expendable. I don't want to say income, but that's $5 to $15 a month depending on how many accounts you have. That's it's basically how I've bought all my DLC for the last 4 years is through that. I never shelled out any money for it. So I think especially with Halo and their micro DLC, $5 a month of like the Bing points or whatever, it's nothing. I'm gonna get it anyway, so I could just basically it's like I'm working towards a little bit of extra cool cosmetic Halo stuff. I mean, I wouldn't want like an astronaut suit or a clown suit or anything stupid like that, Leatherface or anything retarded. But some cool weapon skins or whatever, if they're 99 cents or whatever, I'll drop some Bing points on it. It's no big deal. So I think as long as they're useful and not stupid, like like, you know, like for an example, Destiny shaders. That fucking Gilgamesh. That thing is the most hideous disaster of a design that I've ever seen in my life, and I can't stop not getting it. Like, if there was just a way that I could mark on there, never receive this again, then I would do it, but you can't. And I'm hoping that with the,
for that fact.
yeah, well, I'm hoping with the weapon skins that, you know, they put a little bit more thought into, like, is this attractive, or, you know, would this be, you know, feasible, you know, whether there's armor shaders, like in Master Chief Collection, the player emblems or customizable emblems on your player card or whatever, or your nameplate, like the colors, they're generic and almost geared towards girls, in my opinion. Like, the colors just aren't really that vibrant or poppy. They're just kind of mellow, flowery things, and it just kind of like, where's the real customization, you know? So I'm hoping that, you know, we'll see some, you know, armor shaders and weapon skins that are a little bit more manly and badass. I'm hoping.
Well, I was wondering, does the Warzone game type, is that gonna have its own community? Because it's gonna be, I've got a feeling that there's gonna be a lot of us that, you know, maybe play it once or twice and then just go back to what we know.
I think
back to what we love.
Yeah,
and it makes me wonder, are they trying to grow a whole nother community of this metagame that wants to play the MOBA style FPS, or are they just trying to give us another thing to try out and it gets left in the dust after 6 months and we're all still playing what we always play?
I think for the ones that, you know, like the Smite players and stuff like that, I think they're going to enjoy it the most, because it is that, it literally is, it's like an FPS MOBA inside of Halo. From my understanding, there's like 2 bosses, and you got to fight each other and capture the bases, and then you got to get to the boss and kill the boss while other people are killing you and you're killing other people. So it's going to be a big giant melee of death and destruction, which is awesome. But
let's do a quick rundown of what Warzone is right here, because we're leading into it here. So it's 16 versus 16. Each team drops into a base that is controlled by AI enemies. You clear them out first, then it turns into the PvP versus everybody. And the way this game is won is a couple different ways. First it turns into a conquest mode. You know, capture all the bases. And throughout, there's always going to be AI dropping in. There will be huge boss fights as well throughout. And then there will be facing the enemy team. Now, the goal is to get to whatever the point system may be. However, there's another alternate way to win. From my understanding, I think if you capture all the bases, you attack your enemy team's base, and when their core is vulnerable, and you destroy it, it's an automatic win. So, and then, just to remember, when it goes to the points, every AI you kill, every player you kill, goes up to the points. And I think the Warzone they showed at E3 was 1,000 points to win. So there's the first stage of going against the AI. Then it's kind of like this giant free-for-all where your team, where you could grind out the players, grind out the AI, grind the bosses, or you can capture the bases, capture the points, then take out the enemy's base before the match gets any further. So it looks like there's some.
So there's
having more ways to win off of the bat already makes this a lot more interesting for me.
That's cool, because if y'all played the attrition game style,
I was just
Titanfall, there was definitely a strategy into it, to the good way to play it. If you played, you know, people that were better than you at actually slaying, there was a way to play another way to still win by killing the grunts and going after the specters and getting those tiny points. But a lot of tiny points add up at the end, you know, instead of going for the 10-point kill.
You get even bigger fights from these boss fights that start rolling out towards the mid to late game, if you would say. But
now, do we work as a team with the enemy team to take down the bosses? So it's separate bosses?
Yeah, no, the bosses happen it's an overall large map. You start out at first confined to one area. You're dropped in by Pelican to clear out your own base. which you use on from then forth. After that, it's open world. The AI spawns out. You can kill the other players, or you can kill the AI. So it's going to be.
Does it benefit you to kind of quit killing the other team when a big boss drops in, and everybody kind of that's what I'm trying to understand is when those bosses drop, what's the objective at that point? Kill the boss or kill the other team, then focus on the boss, or
it's point based. So like you get different amounts of points for different things. So capturing the bases is worth so many points, killing enemies is worth so much points, killing a boss is worth a more substantial amount of points. So what it's going to be is it's going to kind of be a shifting sands of strategy. Like, okay, there's no boss, so right now our game plan, and different teams are probably going to come up with different strategies of what's most effective, which is also then going to change what you're doing as the other team, like defending, like what your approach is, how are you going to respond. So yeah, once the boss is there, I would think most people are going to go for the boss because he's probably, I think he's worth a good chunk of change as far as points go. But basically, the way they described it in the article I read is that there's no one surefire way to win.
Yeah.
So you can kind of make it your own, and if you've got, if your team establishes 2 or 3 strategies you can kind of cycle through, so the other team doesn't really know what to expect. That's probably going to be the best, I would think, a best approach to victory. Because if you're always doing the same thing, eventually the other team's going to adapt and outsmart you or outdo you at you.
So what we're looking at is something. Once you get past that once you get past claiming your base, you're looking at massive engagements with multiple strategies, whether it's going after the AI or doing the PvP. Now, when those boss fights are going on, I can imagine teams, at least full teams or maybe half a team, splitting up, moving to the bases, capturing the bases, and if they have enough bases, while the other team's focused on the AI trying to get that chunk of change, they could go for the golden snitch, or which in this case is destroy the enemy base and get that insta-win before the 1,000 kill limit. The 1,000 points, which we don't know if that's that, but we do know that from the E3 demo that is that specific map, or at least a 1,000 points. So there's kind of a lot of strategies. If they're all focused on the boss, you could go point and then blow up their base. Or you could focus on the bosses and wipe them out and take the boss and steal from them. And then there's going to be constant floods of AI too. So it's going to be fun.
So about these bosses, the one thing I'm confused on is, does like a boss spawn at your base and then at the enemy base, like you run over there, you got to kill that boss? Or is it one boss that everybody has to fight for? And if so, how does that work? Because say the whole enemy team's killing this boss, they get him down to, one shot, and then, you snipe the kill out. Do you get the points because you sniped out that last few health before they could? Or like how is that going to work? Like if it's
assuming it's probably going to be based damage on the bosses. The more damage you take, like every shot you get maybe a point or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
On that subject, we don't know, but on the main subject of where the bosses drop, they drop in what I'm calling the open world, which is outside of your own personal bases for either team, which means it's up for grabs in the middle of the field.
Okay, yeah, that's going to be interesting because I'd really like to see how that's going to play out because, like, yeah, if the whole enemy team's there and then you just want to be a douche and then snipe it out from them at the last, just sit there with a sniper, wait for him to get down to 5 health or whatever, and then just snipe him, and then your team would get the points. Like,
this game mode is gonna force teams to play both offense and defense no matter what.
Yeah. I'm kind of looking forward to that one instance where you and the opposing team stop fighting each other and just start fighting a monster. You know what I mean? And you have this moment of kind of like
5 minutes, then some guy on one team's gonna shoot the other team, and then each team's gonna shoot each other, and the boss is gonna hurt us all. And then it's start back from scratch one.
10 seconds of 10 seconds of peace and everything, and teamwork and everything is gonna be awesome.
Right.
It's gonna be massive engagements, and from what they've told us, the Warzone maps are at the minimum 4 times larger than any map they've created in general. And we know at E3 using their little building blocks. I don't know what building blocks they were. I don't think they were Legos. During their with one of the people they have a partnership with, they created a full-scale large map to the new reveal of another Warzone map. Forget the name of it, but it is based off of the Silent Cartographer mission from Halo 1, and it is their biggest Warzone map, so we could be talking 5 to 6 times larger than any Halo map we've seen before. And we know from the bases, once you clear them out, those bases are yours, and you can go back there and switch out different loadouts of your weapons. You can spawn vehicles, I believe. So that's going to be like your go-to hub to bring stuff out. But I mean, the first game you play, jumping down from the Pelican, clearing out your own base, then rolling out and just not only facing regular PvP Spartans, but you're facing full-on Covenant and Forerunner too at the same time. So you're going to be getting shot from everywhere, and it's just going to be chaotic fun. And I'm really looking forward to it. And it looks like 343 is making it a very big part of what they're promoting for them.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how they put like a MOBA metagame inside their game.
It's almost not even a MOBA. It's just an open world chaotic clusterfuck.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how they're doing that. I mean, they're known for, basically setting the standards and, breaking in new trends in games, and I think this is going to be one of those new trends in games, like you're going to see it a lot more often, this, kind of meta game inside the game, which is, it's as close to an FPS MOBA as you can get, honestly, like the way that it's set up and everything. It seems like, I don't know, it's going to be fun and interesting. The only thing that I really hope that they do inside this game mode is offer enough vehicles, or they respawn a little bit faster. And I'm not saying like Warthogs and stuff like that, just like the four-wheelers and stuff, so you can get around the map. Because with these large maps, I would really hate to have to, walk, 10,000 miles, or, do the 5-minute walk across the map to get sniped once you get there. Spend the entire game walking somewhere just to die. Like, I would be a little upset about that.
Well, we already got one new vehicle, which is going to be the Forerunner airship that we saw on display a little bit at E3. But, now that I think of it, this is kind of like a firefight hybrid, almost, in a sense. That was a cool thing about Halo 3 ODST was the firefights, and that stacked up based on points off of kills. Hunters were worth more, engineers, stuff like that. So I don't think you can call it a firefight hybrid, but it's definitely something of that caliber and incorporated with PvP, and it's an exciting undertaking to watch, and it'll be definitely interesting to see how many maps come out and how big these really are actually going to be.
I think the brilliance here is that we've seen both Call of Duty and Hardline make the mistake of trying to make their game so accessible that the game kind of loses its soul, and then everybody hates it, and nobody really understands what the skill gap gets so shrunk, and it's just nobody likes the game, and their sales get hurt. I mean, both Hardline and Advanced Warfare are pretty embarrassing for those franchises. I think the brilliance here is what they're doing is they're saying, and this is a challenge really honestly for any established franchise. I'm not a Halo PvP guy. I want to get Halo. I think the game looks amazing. I always enjoyed the campaigns. I played them co-op with my friends. But anytime I went into PvP, it was just like this community is so entrenched. I don't stand a chance, and to me it's not worth going through the learning curve of getting my head beat in for months before I even be considered like a moderate player. So I just leave. And I guarantee you that most people, when they get an entrenched franchise like this, and they're just like, I'm not going to play PvP because I'm not good enough, this can really, I think, appeal to, especially fans of Titanfall. I think it has those similarities because there's AI grunts that'll probably be a little bit easier to kill. So even if you're not the best player, you can kind of go in and feel like you're having an impact and an influence on the game. Yeah. And as a non-PvP Halo player, I'm super interested in the game mode. For one reason is that I'm going to have a post this week about how I think it's super borrows from a game mode called Onslaught in Unreal Tournament 2004. It's almost identical to the idea where you're moving forward, taking over nodes. Once you take care of this node, you can take care of the next node and so forth. And then eventually, if you get a node attached to their base, you can destroy their core and win. And it was like one of the most fun game modes ever because it's just big, it's epic, it's like You don't feel like you're in that hot, sweaty, like, 5v5, 6v6 where if you're not the best player, you're definitely going to stand out. You can just have that fun impact and the vehicles and everything. Just made it an absolute blast. So I think it's smart because you guys that go hard in the paint in Halo can still do that. You're going to have your game modes that you love. But for the rest of us that are just like, we want something that's a little more accessible, this game offers it, and it's going to appeal to the MOBA crowds. I didn't actually understand how it worked, but now, knowing that now, I think it's going to have even more mass appeal with that MOBA element to it.
Yeah, I think Lano, you're right. I mean, this is a way to open up, a flood of people that. Halo's been a staple for X amount of time since the day-old age. It's a recognizable name, so, you're going to imagine there's skilled players when you go up in PvP. I don't like going in Destiny PvP sometimes just because people destroy me, and it's not fun, and I cry myself to sleep at sometimes. Anywho, but, and you're right. I mean, if you want to contribute in some way, you can. There's going to be grunts, there's going to be those low-level Prometheans. You can shoot those off, and you can still gain points towards your victory. Maybe you can go after some of the higher AI, and you can go after the PvP. There's going to be plenty of vehicles. I mean, you can mess around with your weapon loadouts. It's very much brings in another group to the PvP by helping them out and adding a little bit of that PvE that people know so strongly about Halo.
Yeah.
And that works, and that's actually a brilliant idea.
Yeah, it seems like it's a great way for new PvP players or new to Halo in general to like what you were saying, adjust to the learning curve and get familiar with the game mechanics and the weapons and how things work, rather than have to just go in and literally just die in excess of like 10 years. Right. Because it does take a toll on you, like to get into a game like that. Like back in the day, you had no choice. It's just like a baby being thrown into the water. Swim or die, you know? And so now you're adding this game type that is literally like, well, here, we're going to throw you into the water with a life vest on so you can slowly learn how to swim and you're not going to die. So I think, it's going to appeal to a lot more people to just kind of either get into the game or get back into the game, so if you've been out of it for some time or whatever. And I think it's going to end up doing really well. I definitely see a lot of success from both the veteran Halo players and the beginner Halo players because of that Titanfall-esque aspect of the AI and things like that. So it's literally fun for literally everybody, the hardcore people and the not so good people.
Well, and the learning curve of a game like that short circuits when you have that entrenched veteran group, because I can't really learn how to get good at the game if I can't even get like just a basic rhythm. Like if I'm just getting killed all the time, like the learning curve short circuits because I can't even really begin to excel because I can't get my foot in the door. This isn't just like a foot in the door. This is like get accustomed to the rhythm and the weapons. So that's a good point, is that it's not just going to be accessible. It's also going to be almost like kind of a tutorial in a way of like, here's a way to learn Halo without constantly getting killed by the really good players.
Right.
And Destiny could learn a lesson here, honestly. Like, Destiny's got vehicles and weapons and stuff. They could do something very similar. They had that one really cool big map where you could get in some of the vehicles and stuff, and they could definitely learn from this and see that, like, you could open the game up and it'd be a lot more appealing to non-PvP players who could then, in 3 months or so, maybe decide, I'm going to go, try my hand at another game mode because I've gotten better. I may do that in Halo. I may not, but, we'll see.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I mean, other games adding something like this where it's a crossbreed of PvE, PvP, I think, especially with Destiny, there could be some really, really cool things you could do with that one because you do have some really cool enemies. So, I'd be interested to see, if Destiny doesn't pay attention to that and we see something similar for Destiny 2. But we'll keep an eye on that one, I guess.
Maybe we should name the podcast Destiny Can Learn Something from This. Because I don't know how many times we've said that in the past weeks. But maybe that should be a thing.
At least once every 10 minutes per podcast. But yeah, I think all in all, what Halo's doing with not just Warzone, with everything that they have going on, the free DLC, the microtransactions, the way that they've actually engaged the community, and what they've shown off, and it's like you can tell that they're really confident about their game. When you compare how they market their game versus how Bungie's marketing their games, it's two different opposites. You got Halo over here that's basically like, here, we're going to show you our game modes, we're going to show you this, we're going to tell you about this, because we're confident enough that you're going to buy into it. We're not giving you everything, but we're giving you a lot, which speaks to the volume of stuff, whatever, yeah.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, that word I'm looking for, and...
Well, they're definitely confident with this game, and it kind of brings me to a question. Is this Halo's last chance? If this doesn't meet the hype, which is every day getting bigger, is this if they flop on this one, is Halo dead? Because it already seems, it's a limited community. MCC was so bad that the release and everything that went along with that like, their apologies, I'm still kind of scorned. Their apologies, like, I heard them, but it didn't really make it any better. The community had passed the game along, and it makes me wonder if this doesn't go well, if they don't have a good launch, or if the Warzone features aren't tuned correctly to be where we as the consumer think they should be, will this game get left behind in 2 months, just like the last Hardline, and just like the last game before that, and the last game before that, just because they don't have the right setup? It's almost like get-rich-quick schemes sometimes, and it backfires because the community will buy what they want, get out of the game, because there's nothing left to grind for. And if Halo, they have this strike against them with MCC release, and it just makes me wonder, if the hype train were to fall off the rails on release day, would it be over for them, essentially?
No.
I know.
Yeah,
I
I'm
will
gonna say no.
Say no, because, and I'll explain why. Because although MCC was a huge bad taste in the mouth, Halo 4 was a resounding success. So the first game they made on their own was a resounding success. Their remaster was not, and now they're back not doing a remaster. And from all accounts, from all backdoor accounts, it's amazing.
Well, it's
So,
more of a hypothetical. Like, I don't predict it to happen, but it's a scary community now. Our attention spans are so short,
Nonetheless,
So,
because
I don't.
Halo at this moment is already gaining, I'd say, about at least 2 times more popularity than the advance of Black Ops 3 right now. That alone is
that in
huge.
itself is not really that hard. I mean,
well, no, it's hard to call that just because Halo's on our console only.
And the only reason I saw a spike in Black Ops 3 was when they did the zombie release trailer for their new cast. The only time I've seen in a long time a spike in their popularity for their upcoming game. So, based on Halo 4's success, I'm going to say no. And because I truly believe 343 is on the right path with this, and everything I hear is going well. And, COD's getting a bad taste in the mouth, stuff like that.
We can hear you, Irish. Your cam just froze at like the perfect spot, bro. Perfect spot. I'm gonna before Moose talks. Moose is gonna have more to say probably than me because I didn't get the whole MCC bad taste in my mouth as a Halo fan guy. That didn't happen to me. I saw the news feeds and everybody ticked, but my only thought is if the PvP's not really thought out and done like exceptionally well, the danger I think you're going to have is we know this is going to happen. There's going to be this massive influx of Destiny PvP players coming home, basically coming home. Like let's go back and let's go play Halo. This looks new. This looks amazing. Destiny's PvP, yeah, Taken King is going to make it worse for people that really enjoy PvP, I think. And so I think those people coming to Halo are going to be a little more ruthless in their judgment and a little less patient with problems or imbalances or anything they sniff out as problematic. That's the biggest, I think that's probably one of the biggest challenge to the PvP side of the game is that you're going to have a significant amount of people that are going to be like, don't you dare screw us on this because they've been putting up with Destiny for how long?
Well, it's not even Destiny, though. Really, the community on the sticks has been looking for a game since Black Ops 2. A very fun, competitive game to watch and play. And what's so funny is we're so in need of it that we'll immediately bail on games if they don't meet those expectations.
Well, see, I think the one thing that Halo has going for it is literally the name. Halo has a cult following. Like, everybody knows what Halo is. There's not many people that you could be like, hey, do you know the game called Halo? And they're like, no, I've never heard of it. It's just not, you've got both casual players. You've got people that have been playing it since, it came out in, 2005? So some of those people that originally played it, they're now old, like me. They're dads, they're mothers. So it's like, it's a game that has spanned generations. It's not just something that's new and it just came out and you're like, oh, wow. You've got people that have been in this franchise for, 10 years now. So I think that there's a lot more patience and understanding in the Halo community because they've never been let down by Halo before, besides Master Chief Collection.
Well, the first Halo came out in 2001.
2001?
Yeah, 2001.
Yeah. Okay, well then see, it's even been longer. We're closer to 15 years.
Yeah.
So it's like these people, like it's other than Master Chief Collection, which in itself was a massive world premiere undertaking. Like, nobody's ever really done that before. Put your entire collection into one game and sell it like that. Nobody's ever done that before. So it failed, but they rebounded on it. They did it. It's working fine now, and it's fun to play. So, like, I don't think, even if Halo 5 had an iffy launch, like, say it's usually the biggest problem is server stress. On the opening week, everybody's getting on there, like, your servers are literally just crammed. And that's the biggest issue is server problems. So I'm assuming that they're all smart enough that they would probably overcompensate for, server stress. And if they can do that, I think the launch is going to be fine. There's going to be bugs. People are going to find, when you have millions of people playing your game versus, hundreds of testers, the millions of people are going to find more bugs than your hundreds of testers. It's just, it's a numbers game. It's going to happen. There's going to be bugs. There's going to be issues, glitches, OP things. It comes with every game. No matter how great or poor the game is, there's always going to be something like that. And how they respond to it and how, they manage their servers is what's really going to be key. Especially since it's dedicated servers, which means that there's going to have to be more servers. Because with peer-to-peer, you didn't need, really servers to host because your Xbox hosted or your PlayStation, whatever. So now that they're adding dedicated servers, now they really have to step up their server game. So it's really going to come down to that, and is how well they manage their servers. I think Microsoft's done a really good job with implementing the new cloud servers, which is what you saw in Titanfall. It was all cloud-based. So I think, if they're going to do something like that for Halo, then, as long as they bring their A game, I really don't see a problem.
Well, we're getting pretty close here on time. Yep. Kind of wanted to go over some into the week, going into next week kind of thing. What were you planning on streaming this week, Lano, on your stream?
Man, the Elder Scrolls Online has been crazy good to me this week. I don't know what happened. I was planning on going through the entire campaign of Halo from 1 all the way to the end of 4 in the Master Chief Collection because they had that huge sale. But I think I'm gonna ride the Elder Scrolls Online kind of trend. Like if it's doing well, and I'm enjoying it. I started a new character today, but Tuesday I will be doing the Batgirl DLC because I got the season pass for Arkham Knight, and I got a 200% in that game. There's nothing left to do, so I'm looking forward to the first piece of 6 pieces for the season pass content for Arkham Knight.
How is Batman?
I really liked it. The more I think about it, the more frustrated I get with Warner Brothers for knowing how bad the port was to PC, because that's all you hear about now. Like, you don't hear how good the game is. I've been giving it like a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. Like, I thought it was an almost perfect game. Everybody gripes about the Batmobile. I thought the Batmobile's inclusion was good. There are elements there in times where it does feel like it's overused. There's at least 2 boss fights where it was too much. It was just too much. It was like, why am I'm in another boss tank fight like in the Batmobile. It's the first time I've had such a sharp disagreement with Angry Joe. Most of his reviews, I'm in pretty strong agreement with him. He gave Watch Dogs a 7 out of 10, and he gave Batman Arkham Knight a 6 out of 10. And I'm just like, I don't know where he's coming from, given Arkham Knight like basically a lower score. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was an almost perfect game, and I'm looking forward to the DLC.
Yeah, Watch Dogs was a disappointing game. I was kind of hyped for that, and that was...
I hopped in the stream this week, and we were watching Elder Scrolls, and I think we had like maybe about 60-some people in the stream, and you were running dungeons and playing trivia, and it seems like the stream's definitely blowing up last week, and probably keep your momentum going into next week. Oh, did we lose Lana?
I think so. I think we lost.
Your compliment goes unheard.
Oh. Well, you can watch it on the video.
Yeah, we lost Lana, and we don't have video for Iris. So
For those watching right now, Skype has been an issue most of the day right now.
We're limping through the end of this here. I mean, Iris doesn't have video. Lano's cam's been struggling.
I still don't have video?
No.
Well, do you guys want to go ahead and wrap it up then?
Yeah, I think we'll probably limp this one home. Technical difficulties.
I keep turning my video on and off and messing with my
But
webcam.
no, because it's showing up on my screen right down here. It says hold on while we try to get the call back. So I don't know what's the issue there. But yeah, his call dropped. Oh, maybe, I don't know. Weird.
I did hear a lot of rain coming from one of your guys' things. It could be a storm area dealing with. Is anybody getting a storm right now?
I don't know. No, I've been secluded inside on vacation, so I don't really go outside much. I'm a ginger, so
I thought
I'll
I
just
heard like
burn
rain dropping pretty heavy on a house, so that could always be an issue.
Yeah, he dropped. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up for the week. You know, it was only an hour, but that's okay because we're obviously having technical difficulties with Skype. So, with that being said, thank you guys for coming out. We always appreciate it. Next week we'll have some more fancy stuff to talk about. Not sure what. We usually don't decide until Friday or Saturday, depending on what news breaks during the week. So
you know.
Yeah. So again, thanks for coming out. We'll be back here next Sunday, 11 p.m. Eastern. And until then, see you guys later.
See you guys.
And bye from Lano. I'll give bye from Lano.
Yep. We know Lano says bye.